And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sasquatch Experience. You all right, Vance? You okay?
No, just I love it.
Oh, okay.
Good.
That wasn't pain. That was excitement.
No, it's not pain. It's excitement.
Boy, all right. Well, good evening, folks. How are you? I'm Sean the Fort Chop Forker. That's Van Nesbitt. That's Henry May. And Vance just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Vance.
Oh, thank you.
Yep,
I appreciate that. Yeah, another year older and another year crusty. And you know what? You're not getting older. You're getting younger.
Crusty.
Yeah.
I love it. That's how we prefer our Vance crusty, folks.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well,
and today is Memorial Day. So even though this may be pre-recorded, a salute to all our fallen.
Absolutely.
To keep us so that we could do something like this. So greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. Happy Memorial Day to everybody. And we're here to get this show started off. I got Vance and Henry with me. Baker's going to be joining us in just a few moments. He's indisposed. You know what that means.
Yes.
And I got the emoji on the as we were getting ready to go on the show. So he's a little preoccupied. But as you can see, episode 22, the last episode of season 2. Next week, guys, we start the summer of Sasquatch.
Woo-hoo!
Right there. How about it? Summer of Sasquatch. Yeah. We are going to go live. Or we're going to have a show every week, as live as often as possible. Still going to be Monday. Still going to be 9 p.m. Eastern. Occasionally, though, we are going to have a pre-recorded episode slip in there. And, of course, next week's episode is going to be pre-recorded. But for our Patreon subscribers, you're going to have some extra benefits you'll be communicated out with after the show tonight, with our first guest of the month and how you could participate in the program. So a little extra we do if you will go and support the Sasquatch Experience over on Patreon, become an exister, a trackcaster, or a member of the $2 The Holler. And some great stuff lined up for our listeners and supporters. Because we decided, over the summertime, why not? Let's get into everybody's homes and space once a week so we can continue these conversations. More people will be out. Maybe we can elicit more Bigfoot sightings. Who knows? But we're going to give it a whirl. And then as we go into the fall, we'll go back to every 2 weeks. So, guys, what do you think about that?
How about the amazing guests we have coming up? So let's – but, we got some great guests coming up.
We do have some really good guests. We are trying to roll out all the stops or pull out all the stops, roll out the red carpet, and get some great squatching. Whip them out. Why not? I haven't had anything to drink yet today, Vance, but you've been quite at it.
Yeah.
Look at that smile, folks.
No.
And there we are. But Henry, you pointed out something.
Anything today.
Henry pointed out something very interesting as we get ready to go on the air, that our topic tonight, of course, is looking back at the Memorial Day footage. That video taken May 26, 1996. Today, or this year, is the 25th anniversary of that footage, Henry. How about it?
Yep.
Now, I was just a wee lad at the time, 1996. I was probably 9 years old. And I was just starting to read the Bigfoot books at that age. This was the summer I got bit by the Bigfoot bug. But Henry, you were already in the field. You were already into it.
Mm-hmm.
So give us a little background on this.
Well, from what we've been able to gather, and this is going back 25 years. Laurie and Owen Pate were on vacation with their family at Chapaka Lake. That's what it's called, Chapaka Lake, Washington. And from what I understand, this alleged creature that they saw was actually running back and forth. Which would a Sasquatch run back and forth?
Maybe if it was bored. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But they were able to get some videotape of it running. And
so go ahead, Henry.
It appeared that it had pendulous breasts, perhaps. And as it comes out from the other side of a hill, it appears to be either lifting up a mask or putting something on its shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting you say that. So I do have some material I gathered for this tonight.
No.
Yeah, how about that? So for anybody interested, this was kind of reported by the BFRO, reported to the BFRO, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually report number 2600, right on the dot, report number 2600 to the BFRO website, the 1996 Memorial Day weekend video. And as Henry said, it was done 1996, May 26th in Washington, Okanogan County, Chapaka Mountain. 3,000 feet elevation in the northwest corner of Chapaka Lake, 5.5 miles south of the Canadian border. Now, I do have the whole narrative here, so let me read through some of this if you don't mind, all right?
No.
So as stated, the event occurred on the Memorial Day weekend in 1996. There were 7 people in our party, and we went camping and fishing at a very remote lake in the Pasayten Wilderness, part of the Okanagan National Forest in Okanagan County. After fishing all day, we returned to the camp for the evening. In all, there were probably about 100 people along the bank of the lake. 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
Camping and fishing as they were. Quite a few of these people witnessed what we did. I was building a fire between our party's 3 campers. One of our friends was playing catch with her son and dog. I heard her call out, so I went around the campers to where they were playing. She told me that she thought she had just seen a Bigfoot, and she showed me where by pointing to a spot in the hillside where they saw this thing. While she was describing what she had seen and where it had come from, this creature stood up behind a bush about 75 yards from us. The creature just stared at us for a moment before turning and darting into the woods. At this point, many in the campground had joined us, including my wife, who brought the camcorder out of our camper. I told my wife to turn the camcorder on and scan the woods on the hillside, thinking that it might show itself again. About 2 to 3 minutes later, it appeared another 100 yards up the side of the mountain, which was very steep and rugged terrain. The creature then proceeded to run across the hillside between openings in the trees, jump a ravine, and continued behind a knoll where it started walking. As it approached the tree line, its upper body came back into view, and my wife recorded about 22 seconds of footage of the overall sighting. I spent several more days there doing additional research and recording, such as attempting to trace its path, compare my stride to the creature's, and so on. I have had some very interesting video footage of this support data, including what I thought were resting beds underneath some of the trees. Also, my tape has a howl on it as the creature had left our site. Keep in mind that I'm a novice on the subject of Bigfoot. I really did not have any idea originally what to look for. I did not check for body odors, hairs, or anything like that. Other witnesses, possibly as many as 30, there were 2 people out in a fishing boat in the lake that pointed up to the animal. And about 3 months later, there were reports around the panhandle of Idaho. Now, they say the conditions were at 6 o'clock in the evening, and it was a clear day. So there's some things to note about. One thing that I wasn't aware of was this additional footage that Owen Pate had taken. And Henry, have you ever seen any of that footage then?
The only footage I've ever seen was on Sasquatch Legend Meets Science.
Yeah,
and it's also interesting. They didn't have the audio of the encounter on Legend Meets Science, and we'll talk a little bit about why, perhaps.
All right. But what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to show the Memorial Day footage for our listeners, our watchers in the chat room. Can you guys see that all right?
Yes.
Yep. There it is. Well, that's from Legend Meets Science because you can see the copyright.
Yeah, I am using the Legend Meets Science material here. And, of course, this is on YouTube from the I wish I knew the name of the channel. This isn't our footage. This, is, of course, belongs to the Pates. Right. And, of course, Doug Hychick got the rights to use it for Sasquatch Legend Meets Science White Wolf Entertainment, which would later go on to produce Monster Quest and Giganto, the Real King Kong,
right,
and many other Bigfoot or cryptozoological related programs. And as you can see the video footage there, the one thing interesting is they talk about how the creature increases in height. Right. And we'll just let this play here as we talk about it. Vance, have you been familiar with this footage at all?
Oh, absolutely. I've been on this footage for probably the last 6 years, maybe, when I was first introduced to it. And, when I first saw it, to be completely honest with you, I was rather skeptical.
Yeah.
Only because it acted like me. I could probably sprint for about 10 yards and then end up walking the rest of the way because I'd be completely winded. But when it's sprinting behind what you see right here. It's a ridge and it's out of sight. So then maybe the threat is gone and it can walk the rest of the way. Yeah. It's just sprinting to get out of view because I think it's aware of spectators that are actually and I believe that's to the west of it, was it not? I believe from how it was shot. Yeah, something like that. So, that kind of makes sense too.
But, you're saying now that there are at least 30 witnesses that saw this.
Mm-hmm.
There were 100 people on the riverbank or the lake bank that day. And there were 2 people on a fishing boat that also seen this creature.
Right.
And, of course, for the people watching along with us, the quality is not great. It's a camcorder. The big, probably RCA shoulder mount type you had that were, famous at family functions and homemade adult videos. In the 1990s.
What are those?
So glad we didn't get one of those tapes. And but as you can see, it's interesting. And keep in mind, folks, back in 1996, even in the early 2000s, when I really got into the field, the internet portion of the research, there wasn't a lot of Bigfoot footage out at that time.
No.
Henry, at that point, we had what? Patterson film, Paul Freeman film.
Yeah, the Paul Freeman, I think, was probably a little bit more prevalent at that time span.
Yeah, and then the Memorial Day footage, and then we had the Snowwalker video, which, of course, we call that Meldrum's Folly because Dr. Meldrum was so convinced that was real, and that turned out to be
right.
Hoax. Everybody can be wrong, folks. We're not making fun of the good doctor. We're just saying. No. You always got to be careful about putting your stamp on these things because we really don't know. But the other interesting thing is the howl on the tape that he said he recorded, Henry. I wasn't even familiar with that until here was my reasoning for getting into this. One, it was Memorial Day, right? And I thought, hey, we got Memorial Day coming up. It's a Monday. Let's do a show. But then I wanted to find out, I knew this was reported to the BFRO. So let's go get the BFRO report. And then I wanted to see if I could find the investigator who actually investigated this report. And I wasn't able to find it because unlike most of the reports on the BFRO website, this report does not have the name of the investigator on it. So that led me to nowhere, and I don't know who. And of course, if I had a little bit more time, maybe I could have narrowed it down and found out. But I mean, at that point, what would that have really told us? Somebody investigated the report. Again, the person wasn't there. So then I did another search and I found a nice article from Autumn Williams, OregonBigfoot.com. And on OregonBigfoot.com, make sure I have these pages all in the right order. At least these pages were numbered. All right. The father-in-law emails Autumn Williams. And let me read a little bit of this to you guys. I received the email from a blog reader who happens to be the father of the woman, Lori Pate, who filmed the Memorial Day footage.
Mm-hmm.
Larry agreed to allow me to share his email with you here. Larry didn't agree to allow me to share the email here, but it's on the internet. It's under fair use, so we're going with it. Sorry, Larry. I was wondering when you would get to the point where you would have to do this. At one time, I got to the point where I got on several forums trying to defend the Chapaka incident where Lori, my daughter, took the Memorial Day photo. Larry calls it the photo and calls it an incident at Chapaka. Interesting, because it's never been called the Chapaka incident as far as I'm aware of. It's always been called the Memorial Day footage, right?
Right.
All I did was open up the sighting to a bunch of people that used every technique imaginable to throw dirt on the sighting. I tried to counter them the best I could, but to no avail. For one thing, everyone on the internet seems to think that they are experts. Well, Larry, we aren't experts. We are enthusiasts, and we like to talk about Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't even know if Larry's alive. I'm just responding to Larry's points that he's writing to someone else here because it's my show and I can do that. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine this? 2 sightings a few days apart. Oh, shit. Both seeing a bipedal creature sighted by 2 different people. Actually, one sighting was by a whole string of people. The mm-hmm. sightings were actually several days apart, and no one realized this until 11 years later. We even had a forensic team examine the area, resulting in a release of a DVD. It must be Sasquatch Legend Meets Science. This sighting eventually died because of the campaign against it. One might say that there really isn't enough proof, but let's look at the facts. So, one, I think Larry might have been drinking a little old granddad before he wrote that first paragraph because it doesn't make a lot of sense. But Larry continues to write some things here which make a little bit more sense. Never email angry, folks. The first sighting, his first point, the first sighting was by a fisherman a few days before the Memorial Day sightings in 1996. The guy was eating his lunch on shore when he noticed something looking at him just a short distance away. He put the binoculars on the creature and described what he saw. This event has been logged on the BFRO website. The end result is that the animal was hairy and estimated to be about 7 feet tall. Derek Friel interviewed the guy 11 years after the sighting occurred and concluded that it was legit. So there, I'm a little confused. Mm-hmm. Because he says the sighting happens a couple days before the. I guess he's just his timeline's a little off, right? Like he's just whatever. But mm-hmm. there we have a sighting a couple days before the Memorial Day sighting video is taking place.
Right.
The second sighting occurred on the Memorial Day weekend in 1996 in 3 parts. The first was when a woman saw this thing running down the mountainside. And, of course, we just read that in the original BFRO sighting report. Mm-hmm. It disappeared when it got down. It had ducked in behind the trees at a fence line. The woman called Owen, my daughter's husband. When Owen got there, the thing came out again, this time behind a bush at the fence line. The fence is 5 feet high. Owen said that it was around 6.5 to 7 feet tall and wide at the shoulders. My daughter Lori was called to bring the camcorder. She scanned the hill and nothing. Several minutes later, it came out again back up the hill at the original location. The creature ran across the hill, not at a pace that you would expect Bigfoots to run. It kind of ran in a spurt and slowed down to a walk, which we can, mm-hmm. attest to in the video, right? Mm-hmm. It eventually disappeared behind a knoll on the mountainside, but came out again when suddenly its head became taller. Lori got about 23 seconds of the creature crossing the hill. The actual event was witnessed by about 30 people. There were probably 70 to 100 people at this site on the particular day.
Right.
So, again, 30 people again.
Right.
That's not that different than the sighting report states. Both those numbers were given. After the kids got back home, they called me. I sort of leaned on them for not going back up to where the creature was seen crossing the hill. They decided to go back and recheck things. Gutsy Owen went back up by himself and took a video of the underside of the trees. He found a cleaned out area with no branches and a number of little bones. Then he came out and ran what he thought was the course that the creature took on the mountainside. Owen stumbled somewhat, for it was not an easy course to run. Lori took a video from below on this run. No footprints were found. And they do that. And is that Sasquatch Legend Meets Science, Henry? They do that. They do the runner.
Yes, they had a runner from University of Washington,
Mr. Track and Field.
Right.
Yeah.
When
and
they got,
go ahead. He had this fancy. He had this device on his back, which could record.
Yeah.
The way record the way he ran and everything. So.
Yeah, and I wanted to make that point too, that when they did go out there, there was no clear game trail or any kind of path whatsoever. No, this was just rough terrain. Also, Matt Arner posted in the comments, another point is, despite the large number of people, the area was only recently open to the public for the summer, which Memorial Day is kind of unofficially the beginning of the summer season.
Yeah,
and that's a really good point.
Yeah, and that's kind of common across the states. Everywhere you go, campgrounds usually open up at that time.
Right.
Parks are open up. That's not uncommon for that sort of thing to happen.
Right.
When they got back, they managed to send me copies of their videos. The first thing that I noticed is that Owen did not look smaller than the creature running across the hill. In fact, the creature was smaller in height. This was a pronounced difference from what Owen saw. I originally thought that Owen may have misjudged, but Owen insisted on what he had seen. So that's interesting. A few years later, there was a Bigfoot conference held in Bellingham, Washington. Henry, did you go to that conference? No. Okay. He didn't have his frequent flyer Myers visa then. Rick Knoll presented a photo negative of Lori's video. This video was quite fascinating as it was shown on a large theater screen at Western Washington University. You could easily see something on the back of the creature. Some might argue that it was a backpack. It was definitely not. It looked too animate to many of us. It looked like there was hair. We had kind of ignored that at the time, the part where the head got taller, although we were informed that there may be a little one, a baby, in that film. And of course, that's something that becomes a part of this. As you can noticeably see on the video, it increase in height right there towards the end. Why did it do that? Later, Rick worked to get a forensic team to go to Lake Chappaq and reinvestigate the sighting. Doug Hychek from White Wolf Films Industries put together the actual team. This became the background for the DVD, and we learned a lot of things about this creature. For one, it was only around 5.5 feet tall. For another, it may have been carrying a child on its back. Remember, the head got taller, like about 1.5 feet. About 11 years later, one above was recorded. This sighting, in my opinion, verified what Owen had seen. The creature indeed was quite tall. Why the difference? We probably had a family of these creatures in the sighting. And I don't know what they keep talking about that. I don't know if maybe it's something on the website that didn't quite translate or has been lost over time, or if, one in parentheses is like looking towards some sort of photograph, piece on the website. None of that popped up. It was all broken, broken link, unattached image. But now I have heard and read all the crap on the internet about this sighting. I have personally been to the Chappaqua site. This is not a picnic, although it's quite popular as a fly fishing lake. To get there will grow hair on the bottom of your feet because you have to climb very steep logging roads on the sides of 2 mountains before you even get to the Chappaqua Mountain. There are no guardrails, so you are looking at steep drop-offs. There are rocks and boulders all over the place. If you cannot drive over them, you'll have to remove them yourself. When you get to the actual campground, it's quite primitive, but people do come there with campers and tents.
Yeah.
The open side of the mountain where the event occurred is steep. This is not a simple Sunday walk to where the creature was seen. The sighting was actually measured to be just under 900 feet from where Lori was standing with the camera. That's a long way, but remember, this is a fairly steep hillside. So
Right.
what was seen presented a fairly clear view.
Mm-hmm.
Also note that the creature, while traversing the hill, did not once look down at the people watching it from down below. In Laurie's film, there are clearly 7 other people shown watching all these events. In Owen and Laurie's group, there were also 7 of them. This is a lot of witnesses. Yet this sighting got chopped up horribly by people out east where someone had shown Laurie's film. While many have been quick to dismiss the Memorial Day footage as a hoax, I have always reserved judgment on it. From what I understand, the Pates were unaware of the infant lift until the footage had been enhanced. And they say that, that last note was Autumn Williams' note. And then she goes on to say that, why it couldn't have been a man in a suit is because while she was filming her show, Mysterious Encounters, is that what we call Henry?
Mm-hmm.
That they had tried to do some reenactments with a gorilla suit and it looked terrible and it was completely unsafe. And no matter how you lit it, it looked like a man in the suit. As we go and look at that video, it doesn't look like a man in the suit. It looks like, I don't know. When it lifts in the back, it looks like you could see some definition on something that it lifts up.
Well, even on the fact that the still shot that you used to promote this show, the zoomed in shot, there's body structure there that is very prevalent to the fact that it doesn't look to be like somebody in a suit, in my opinion. Now, again, I wasn't there. You weren't there. Henry wasn't there. But it just does not look like a suit. And then to be able to move at that speed, high running speed, again, I want everything to be a Bigfoot. So it's a little hard for me to be a skeptic, but then again, I am looking at it just from that point of view of seeing it like I have for the first time, right? And I'm like, wow, that's really unusual. And that's all I leave it at, is that is unusual, because if it's a person in a suit, God bless the fact that they're able to move at that speed wearing a suit, not being able to see every step that you're taking with a mask on. Come on. You know what I mean? You would hit a rock or a stone or a twig or a little tree and you'd be face planted in no time. So I kind of lean towards the fact that they saw something that is undiscovered. Interesting.
Henry, add some more context to this because you're chomping at the bit to share some things.
Well, first of all, this is my first time hearing about a howl being recorded. That has never been presented on any program, as far as I know. It wasn't presented on Legend Meets Science. I know that much.
No. This was new to me as well, because I had, until I read that summation on Oregon Bigfoot, that retort by, Larry, I didn't know of any of audio. But would it have made that much of a difference? Part of me would think that if you had added that sound to the end of the video, it might have made it more leaning towards a hoax. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Right. Corey brings up a really good point. When you're there witnessing it and you see it with your own eyes, you have clear focal vision where the video camera does not.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why you have blurred vision. But when you have witnesses, your focal vision of seeing more detail than what is being picked up by the video camera, that's a big difference. So then you have to rely a lot on what your witnesses are actually saying. And, the secondary would actually be the video. But that's a really good point, Corey.
Yeah, they do make a point in the investigators' notes to say they watched this on a 58-inch high-definition TV. Well, that's fine. Your source material is still not high definition.
Right.
It wasn't filmed in high definition, and the high-definition TV is just trying to upscale the image to fill in data that's not there.
Right.
And in the early 2000s, you're still probably looking at maybe 720p or 720i. So you're not looking at what high definition would become years later at a full 1080p, or even where we're at right now with 4K, 8K resolution. And if you put that shit in 4K and 8K now, it would probably, wouldn't look any better, because
No,
it's just trying to fill in data. Like
Right.
it doesn't matter what you watch it on. If the source material it wasn't made for it, you're just upscaling, and you're going to have probably it would look a lot worse.
No, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
In fact, I may try to watch it on one later on. See if I can make it in.
So
all right,
anyway,
good luck with that. Make sure you share. Yeah, go ahead, Henry.
So anyway, I do have some interesting background information on this. First of all, Sean mentioned at the top of the show that I was a subscriber to Ray Crow's newsletter. Now, Peter Byrne had seen this footage and wasn't too terribly impressed with it. He thought maybe it was a hoax. And the interesting thing is, I mentioned earlier that there was no audio on the version that they showed on Sasquatch Legend Meets Science. The reason for that is because an interesting individual may have been there. Well, it seems like he was there when this was taken, and that was a guy named Fred Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Who all the time he had a saying about looks like a white boy walking, looks like a white boy doing something or whatever. And he said, looks like a white boy running to me. Now, I mean, that could be construed as politically incorrect or racist or whatever. So maybe that could be the reason why Hijack left off this production.
Could be. Or that it just adds some, more fuel to the fire because the man's voice is, like you said, Fred Bradshaw, who had a reputation for being a little loose with the evidence. That's all.
Right. Well, you're right.
Yeah.
That's a name a lot of people in today's field may not even recognize as Fred Bradshaw. And he passed away, I think, in 2004, sometime in 2004.
Yes.
And you don't want to ever speak ill of the dead, but let's be honest, Henry, he was a little loose with the evidence, right?
There's a few you'll speak of ill of the dead. I know you, Sean.
Well, him. I won. He died. So. He whose name shall not be mentioned.
Yeah, no, I'll never stop bringing that up.
Yeah.
That's great.
Go ahead, Henry. I'm sorry.
But it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder if Fred Bradshaw, he says, looks like a white boy. Hey, there he is.
A white boy. It's James Baker.
Speaking of the white boy.
Hey, it looks like a white boy.
Yeah. I had to take the Browns to the Super Bowl. Sorry.
Oh, boy.
Thanks. Great.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm deeply sorry.
Oh, no. No.
He was filming a little Memorial Day footage of his own. Okay, back to Henry.
It was a brown creature.
The thing is, you could interpret that as Fred Bradshaw recognized the guy in his suit running across there.
Yeah, and you could. And I could see how you could make that, determination. But, again, we go back to the point that, Larry makes in his retort and that Vance made is that terrain is not easy. And even the guy that was running the terrain later, had some trip ups when he was running.
Yes.
And he's a professional
that's a good
runner.
point. Yeah, that was a good point, Sean. And I forgot to bring that up. He did have issues running that terrain at any kind of speed. And so, thanks for bringing that up.
Well, we have to be fair here, right? Because as much as we would, there's a lot to it. And my thing is, I'd like to see some of this extra footage that they talked about having.
Right.
I'd like to see the research footage that was never brought to the forefront. I don't know if anybody ever seen it that you know of, Henry? The second footage?
No, and I would like to hear the howl.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have some audio sounds, I'd like to hear. Go ahead, Baker.
Yeah.
So why not? Why does this happen? And I'm going to be that guy, but whenever we get a video, I don't care if it's Patterson Gimlin, I don't care if it's the video we're talking about now, I don't care if it's a mangy bear caught by a research camera. Why is it they only give us that clip and then they always say magically that there's this extra footage?
Yeah.
In this day and age, if you're going to give them something, give them everything.
Give them everything.
Stop giving them part of it. And then we're like, no, this is a Snyder cut, and then we're going to give you this. And then if you beg enough or you give Jim Baker say, if you give me enough money, I will give you the extra percentage.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
No, you have a very good point, Bake. That's
Absolutely.
a very good point.
And, that's not conducive to this. You go back to the Patterson Gimlin film on that, right, Henry? The second reel of film there. And then, of course, M.K. Davis's Massacre video. I'm sorry. That's not right. And that was made up. And
Bullets over Bigfoot.
Bullets over Bigfoot. But then even this, the extra footage that we don't get to see really complicates some of this stuff.
Right.
I mean, even to the point, I think you could say the same thing with the Freeman footage. More before and after. Right. I think with the Freeman footage, there is a little bit more, but
I think so too. That footage within itself, and I don't want to divert off into the whole Freeman thing, but I think that footage in itself is a lot more classic, and it's a lot more convincing of the fact that, yeah, this thing was captured, and there is quite a bit encapsulated just in that one video footage, where the extras with him showing the footprints leading up to the trail before he actually sees the thing walking across, yeah. So
it was real, Forker.
Hey, I told Corey tonight would be a little bit lighthearted. So
it is. It's going to be a fun show.
Yeah.
We can't forget about the Henderson footage. I mean, that was an hour and a half of solid video.
Yeah, Bigfoot got a SAG card for that, though. I'm pretty sure.
God. I was on the other day, and I was like, oh my God, we talk about leaving an animal in your house, and he's just ripping through that guy's house. And I'm like, yeah. And you guys are saying you're taming them in the backyard. Yeah, right, bro.
Garlic my ass. I'm going to have Eric Fargiorgio make me that shirt. Oh. Bigfoot, garlic my ass. That's going to be
that's it. Eric, I hope you're listening.
I'll donate some of that money to
there you go.
Underprivileged people in West Virginia or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out to send that to. But we get back to Memorial Day footage again, though, and it seemed like this footage was a hot topic for a while, and then it fizzled out, and there was no reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just kind of puts away, because I think Manitoba footage came out too, Henry. You remember that?
That was 2005, and that was Bobby Clark's footage of some blurry thing on the shore.
Yeah. And then there was also the Redwoods footage, which was filmed by Playboy with the sickle-shaped penis.
Mm-hmm.
That one was about, that one was taken in that one was taken in, I think, August 95.
Yeah, so we're almost around the same time, a little before this one, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, I guess my point I'm trying to make is, Henry, did these other videos, because really the internet was talking about them in the 2000s, right? Bigfoot forums, they were having these conversations out, and they were starting to blow up threads, and everybody and their grandmother was able to contribute and ask questions.
Right.
Like for a period of time, these videos really became, the conversational pieces of the online Bigfoot world. I spend days on the Bigfoot forums, to be honest with you. S41015, that was me. And, we had a lot of battles on there, but a lot of the things we talked about were these videos, and I'd almost give anything to have those days back. I would rather fight with those guys than with some of the new people, because at least those guys had sense.
Right. No, that's true. And then again, when you were shooting videos back at that point, the share platform wasn't as prevalent as it is today either.
Absolutely. So, there wasn't a YouTube.
You may have just sat on something, and then you see a small plethora of videos starting to pop up, and hey, I've got this video, I want to share it. So
it was really funny because we had we had
Henry's
Ryan
wearing pants,
on.
by the way. So
right.
Congratulations.
He's back on pants. Henry May, folks. Ladies, he's single. Looking to mingle. Make your Memorial Day a memorable one. Give him a call. Facebook.com/Henry B. May the 4th, folks. There's 4 of them, ladies. Number 4.
Do you want to help him make the 5th?
There it went. Okay, anyhow, now that we're done pimping Henry out, but these other videos came out, and I think sometimes the conversation of them pushed them away. But Henry, maybe you know more than we do. Why did they just quit talking about it? What happened?
Yeah, that's a good question. And, I wonder that myself. And it seems like those particular videos have gone all but ignored.
Yeah.
And I think that there was the ridicule factor involved with the Redwoods video because it was also known as the Playmate video.
Yeah.
Because of the involvement of a Playboy Playmate.
Right.
Oh, come on. Let's be honest, though. Porn's not what it used to be.
No, it's way better.
I was going to say it's a hell of a lot better.
What I'm saying is it's a lot more, just like Bigfoot videos, it's a lot more accessible, right? It's easier to access.
Right. Exactly.
What take? You made me do a spit take.
In today's, hey, listen, some people pay extra for that on some of those share platforms. But what I'm saying is, just like these Bigfoot, those share platforms are out there now, right? Finding these videos easier. And when Ryan Cavaline, we had him on the program a few weeks ago talking about Mountain Devil, when he started putting his work out, I'm pretty sure there were people that thought some of his work was real, actual footage and documentary.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you run into those risks when you try to make a newer video that has that retro look, especially when you do it with, time, I guess time appropriate recording materials, right? You have a shoulder mount VHS that powers up. Why don't you turn it on and use it?
Right.
So that the possibility to fake footage is still there. I have an app on my phone called the Camcorder app where James Baker and I could go out in the woods and I could film it and I could make it look like we filmed it in 1996.
Yeah, you can make it look like that, but once you bring it into, speculation and analyzation, you'll figure out exactly how it was done.
You could, but all I had to do was say, yeah, Vance, I edited this video before I put it on the internet.
And then we're back to, hey, here's the second part of the video you can't see. See, we're back to, we loop right around.
Yeah, okay. No, you got a point. You do have a point. That's why I think we all need to go back to researching with Super 8. Just use Super 8 only. Forget your everything else. Just go back to Super 8 because that seemed to work.
Hey, my first Sony Handycam I had that we used for Bigfoot research had night vision. It had I like the Paris Hilton footage. That was great. It used they called it Digital 8, which was 8mm, little film.
Right,
but the quality was great. The quality on it was fantastic.
So with the Playmate video, what was your take of that? Is there anything tangible to that? Yeah, I didn't think so.
There wasn't enough of it.
Yeah.
It was really like a slowed down, I guess from what I've seen, it's been just like a video of somebody walking in front of the RV with like a flopping Johnson all over the place. And it looked kind of alien-esque.
Yeah.
It was weird.
No, I just wanted to get your opinion because, again, I didn't know what the consensus is in the community of that whole footage. I've seen it myself, and I haven't even gone back to see it since I watched it the first time, to be honest.
And, again, we go back to this, what's the point? But at least with the Memorial Day footage, there's story behind it that we can look and fact check while we watch it. The things that they're talking about in the video that match up with the report, of course, it's going to match up because the people that wrote the report. I would be interested to interview the other 70 people that were there to see what they say.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. You have 70 people there that all see this, and only one person writes a report, and only one person had a camcorder.
No, that's a fair point. That's a very fair point. Although it is 96, I don't know. And for me to look back to 96, how prevalent and how popular was the VHS recorder or the camcorder at that point? Did everybody have one? I didn't have one back in 96. So, maybe there's one out of 100 that had one. I don't know.
I don't know. You're living in a high rent area out there, though. That's not.
Yes, I do.
Well, I mean, like when I worked in '96, like we don't have like what we have today, where everybody has a cell phone camera. '96, people were still using pagers.
Mm-hmm. That's true, right?
The low res photos was the best you could get, maybe with some of your phones, but in general, until like 2002 or 2005, after everything went digital, or
started to go digital,
from analog to digital, right?
Most of your phones didn't even consider the idea of a colored screen or a camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's all my point is what was the percentage back then of per 100 people or campers, so to speak, how many would have had a VHS camcorder at that time?
I don't know, but you're also saying these people are taking RVs and campers out. They've got some coinage, more than one of them would have. More than one of them, in my mind, would have a camera.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Listen,
that's
I was dirt poor, and we had a camcorder.
Yeah.
I'm sure my dad got one as a gift or something from someone. I mean, we weren't well-to-do people, but he had one, or at least, if you were going on vacation for a trip like that, you'd borrow one from somebody.
Well, what they used to do and this is where the restocking fee got created. They would buy them from Radio Shack for like $1,000, and then they'd use them at Disney with the VHS or the 8mm or even the little VHS-C tapes, and then they would return the unit. And then they'd have to pay 15%. The downside was the tapes only worked if you played through the player, and we never told them that when we sold them that. We just
that's a fair point, and that's a reality point, actually. Yeah, go chug.
So, you have that, the technological aspect of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot to it. As we move further today, if somebody were to film that, you'd have 6 or 17 people out there with cell phones filming something like that,
So can you show the footage again?
I'd have to pull it up there real quick. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Here.
No. I just figured, now that we've gotten to this point in the show, that maybe we can refresh and
talk
bring
amongst
everybody back to
yourselves
to see exactly what it is that we are talking about.
All right, here we go. I'll share my camera again. Share screen.
Ooh,
share screen. Chrome tab.
Way to go, share.
There we go.
There it is.
You see that, Bakey?
Yeah. So it's definitely doing the cruise until it gets behind that ridge line, and then
it pops
either
up,
gets
like
winded or picks something up. Maybe it did pick up a youngster.
Well, if you look at it move there, it looks like there's something independent on the shoulders of it, kind of wobbling around.
Right.
And here we go again, a little bit more zoomed in, James. And you're seeing the footage there as we have it. And this is the best resolution it gets. It doesn't get any better. Actually, probably looks better on the screen than it does on.
Yeah, right.
So what is the audio where he actually drops the camera down? Is there a reason he does that?
Good question. I don't know.
It goes from line of sight on this thing, and then for some miraculous reason drops
it brings it down to the ground, right?
Brings it back up.
Right. No, that's a good point. I don't know.
Like, the thing that's interesting to me is it's running. Its elbows are kind of locked at the side. It doesn't look like it engages. It doesn't look like it engages its arms quite a bit when it's running.
No, and that's kind of what I meant by the still footage in which you use to promote this show. You don't see the arms in either a front or back swing.
No, they look like they're just locked in a motion. Right. You can see them moving a little bit, I guess, through there, but not significant. Like Hell, if I was running that, I'd look like Forrest Gump too.
So then, what if there is a youngster on the other side of that ridge
It
there,
almost looks like he's
and
wearing
it ran to go rescue the youngster, pick it up, and then carry it off to the tree line?
Well, and that's the supposition in it all, right? That's what they're saying at the end. It gets physically taller. Gene says it looks like an edited version. Gene, this is the video version that they put on Legend Meets Science.
Right.
This was like the better one I could get. And we're going to play it back from the beginning there. This is the film footage as you see it, Baker, as it came out of the camcorder.
Oh, I see that. I just, at one point, like, then he does this, and then he just pops back up.
Right.
No, and they do notate that in the report. He's back there for, I think, a little bit before it pops out the other side and they're ready to go with the camera.
You know, it's too bad we can't talk to Owen Pate. He was killed in a car crash 2 years ago.
Right.
Oh, sorry. That sucks.
No, Lori's still around. I don't know if she'd be willing to. I don't know if she'd be willing to talk to anybody about it.
Well, if I can find that longer version, I'll be glad to play it on the show here at another date. But this is what we got to look at. And actually, I looked a little bit
in the longer
today.
version. You can see because he pans around with the camera prior to this whole footage, and you do see a group of people that are out there.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. Oh, yeah,
I've
seen
conversing with each other, and
you get
then
the
camera
effect.
swings to pick it up. Right.
Well, hey,
So
you
you
guys
do get
talk
to
for a
see that
second.
much.
I'll see if I can find it.
No, that's fine. But yeah, it's clear that you can see the cars parked along the roadway there, and then there's people conversing with each other, and then yes, the conversation was directed at what is this thing that is running off in the distance there.
Right.
And again, I don't remember, Henry, what was the distance that was estimated between where the camera was to where this creature or entity is running? I don't remember what that distance was estimated.
I don't remember either. It doesn't seem that long, though. I mean, it's across the lake.
Yeah, I would have guessed maybe at 100, 120 yards, something to that effect. But again, I'm kind of using the football field analogy, and that's kind of a piss poor analogy to be using, but it kind of puts it into perspective. Now, I had a conversation with an individual that was at Estes in Colorado, and he estimated about 1,000 yards that he saw this entity walking across a ridge line at top of a foothill, and it was uniformed in color. And I'm going to try to get him onto the show to talk about his two experiences that he had. But again, he could see a lot more detail, even though at 1,000 yards, you know what I'm saying? The eyes are so much better at being able to focal as to what it is that you're looking at than what a camera is at that point anyway. Even though he had a multi-$1,000 camera, he just didn't have it handy with him when he saw this thing walking across the ridgeline. And once again, we run into that typical scenario where you're just not prepared when it's unexpected, right? So, and I'm sure with, the VHS camcorder, maybe you would have moved a little bit closer had you known that there was going to be this creature running across the field. Of course you would have. But, when something unexpected like this happens, you just got to deal with what you have at the moment. And even most of our cell phones today aren't going to get a clear footage. I mean, I try to capture footage of, just hummingbirds in the backyard, and they're all blurry. So, good luck trying to capture a squatch or an unknown cryptid. Who's to say? And have it be clear. And then it'll only be scrutinized anyway as a hoax.
So we had the perfect example actually last week. The gentleman that was on last week, moose comes to his window.
No, right.
By the time he figured to take the video, the moose was gone.
Right.
It's a perfect example. He was doing something else.
Right.
By the time, we saw a deer explode. By the time we realized what was going on, we did not We did not react. We were too busy reacting to sit there and go, oh my God, who's got, and I think I had my phone physically in my hand.
Oh, exactly.
I think Vance did too. And we were just
did.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
There was a deer. No, it's not.
Even though as horrifying as that was, and I'm not going to bring it all back to that, as horrifying as that was, I'm just kind of upset at the fact that I didn't have that thing recording when that happened, because I just wanted verification. Did we just see a deer vaporize before our very eyes?
That is my cryptid experience. And then someone said that happens all the time. What?
Yeah, right. Oh no, that happens all the time here, and I'm like, why here and nowhere else? That was creepy.
I just remember just being speechless as we watched it happen, and I think I just did a slight gasp, like.
You did. Did we just see what just happened?
See what I thought we saw.
But the point of the whole thing is none of us captured it on video.
No,
and yet it was a whole unfolding event, because the deer came out of the wood line, walked, kind of trotted out into our lane of traffic. There was probably maybe all of 8 seconds where you could have hit record on your phone, but you're too busy focused on what is happening to think, no, I need to record this, because you don't know what the outcome is going to be. Yeah.
Well, no, and I had the mindset to slow down because we saw the deer.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the deer.
Right.
And we slowed down. But I knew the person that was flying up by us next didn't.
Oh my God, no. So this also brings another point. You guys said there were like 70 people there and that so many people saw it, but only one person reported it. If you put me, Vance, and Forker in separate rooms, and someone asked us what happened with the deer, our stories may articulate different, but the basic concepts of what happened should be there.
Yes,
and so
I totally
70
agree.
people saw this, and only one person decided to open their mouth. You have to ask the question of, why would 69 other people not decide to say anything? Or when this popped up on their news feed, go, oh shit, I was there on Tuesday. And on my way home, I saw it in the corner. Or, hey, you know what? On the way home, I saw a guy getting out of a suit. You know what I mean? Like you can't tell me that 69 other people didn't decide to open their little mouth. Oh my God, I was at that park that day. No,
that's a very fair point. And again, like you brought up, okay, so a witness testimony between Sean, yourself, and myself, if we were separated in a room, I think actually at the end of the day, you would all culminate to the same story. It would pretty much, because Sean, your eyes are focused in one direction. Bake, your eyes were focused in a different direction, and my eyes were focused in a different.
But we all agree on one thing: there was no physical remains of the deer left.
No. It exploded as if it had, 17 pounds
just
of
a lady's bumper.
Yeah, no,
just the bumper that flew.
That was all we saw, was just a bumper.
A bumper just flew up over a car.
We are going back to Mothman this year because they are going to have the festival, and we are going to investigate that area to see if that bumper is still there.
It probably is.
And if the bumper is still there, I will record that, my God, a deer exploded and no one cared, but the bumper is still here.
It's still there.
Just another day in West Virginia, but it was something else. But guys, that's where we're at for the night. We've come to the end of the hour, and we were nonetheless closer to solving the mystery of the Memorial Day footage. However, I think we had some really good dialogue around it, added some more context, added some mystery. And, honestly, there's some really good questions around it that were so missed. Folks, Sasquatch Experience on Facebook and Instagram, Squatch EXP on Twitter. Go to our Patreon and support us, patreon.com/Sasquatch Experience. $2 is just enough to help get us through the ebb and flow and to bring you brand new content.
A summer of Sasquatch.
For a summer of Sasquatch Season 3 starts next week. Baker, where can folks find you?
Not at the post office.
Not at the post office.
I'm either at home or work.
Thanks,
but if
Matt.
you find Sean, usually I'm within. I'm usually within distance.
You too, Gino. Yes, he's usually the Bobsey twins. Vance, where can folks find you?
Sitting right here by the palm tree at Studio 401 or on Facebook at Vance A. Nesbitt. Feel free to throw whatever kind of crap you want at me there. Or at Instagram, Vance_Nesbitt_STFNL. It's Stranger Than Fiction News.
STF. Vance,
STF.
happy birthday, by the way. You had a birthday the other day.
I greatly appreciate it, and I'm another year older and none the wiser, so thank you.
Henry, where can folks find you?
Well, they can find me. No, they can find me
$2.
on Facebook.
For $2.
No, they can find me. They can find me on my Facebook page, Henry B. May the 4th.
That's right. He's HBM4 everywhere.
He's sitting above me is what he's doing.
He is. He's above you. And he's wearing pants. So that's a plus.
Yeah,
folks, I'm Sean Forker.
$2. You can watch him not wearing pants. No, I'm
I'm sorry.
Nobody cares who I am, and I don't care who I am. They're at Sean Forker everywhere on social media. Folks, thanks for tuning in this week. Happy Memorial Day for what's left of it. Be safe. We will see you next Monday with a very special guest. Henry, give him the words.
Y'all be good. Be good at it.
Keep on squatching, folks.
There it is. Thank you.